Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. But this time, I'm going to discuss about our subject, Philippine literature. Now, why do we need to study the Philippine literature? It is important because by this, we can preserve the literatures we have today. If no one would introduce or explain it to the upcoming generations, it would not exist in the next generation. So we need to study literature so that we can better appreciate our literary heritage. Now, first and foremost, let us differentiate literature and history. In simple terms, the difference between history and literature is that history is the study of the past, while literature is the study of the written works. Knowing the difference between history and literature can help students to choose a subject that is better suited to it. Now, let us just discuss the three types of literature. We have fiction, poetry, and play. Now, let's take fiction. Fiction is the most popular literary genre nowadays. Fiction in literature is any work that is created by the imagination, or in other words, not real. I mean, intangible. These stories may be based on real events of persons, but most of it has been altered. Fiction often includes novels, short stories, and novellas. More modern fiction, such as flash fiction, experiments on form and length. There is what we call creative nonfiction. We have to understand the difference between fiction and nonfiction. When you say it's fictitious, meaning that is not real. Nonfiction is somewhat true. It is based on historical uh, evidences. Creative nonfiction. This literary genre is the opposite of fiction, although they are very similar in terms of components and their usage of storytelling techniques. Creative nonfiction makes use of stories, people, or events that really happen. Now let's take poetry. Probably the oldest literary genre, dating back to prehistoric times when poetry was still part of oral tradition in the Philippines. But in American literature, it's also different. They have this Victorian era, Renaissance era. Poets like Homer told epic stories through poetry. Due to its origin in oral history, poetry is characterized by meter and rhyme. That's why it has rhyming. Okay, I'm not going to elaborate further. Let's study that further when we meet each other. Um, the other types of literature is the play or pagsasadula. The play is the most elusive of literary genres. Being a performers, there is no sole creator to which we can ascribe its greatness or failure. It is a collaboration between the playwright, the director, the light technician, the costume designers, the actors and the actresses, of course, at times, even the audience. Now, in the Philippine literature, let's just focus. I'd like to, uh, there are lots of Philippine writers in literature who achieved Nobel Prize winner. But just like Carlos Bulosan, Teodoro Locsin, Claro Emerico, uh, Apart from Jose Rizal, of course, we also have Amado V. Hernandez, Francisco Balagtas, of course, Marcelo Del Pilar, Carlos Peromulo, and many others. Now, I want you to make a summary, but this time I'd like to give you some summary of the literary works written by our Philippine uh, literature writers. Uh, one of my favorite is uh, the story of Ibong Adarna. Okay, can you listen to me? Because I want you also to summarize. Probably I will give instructions what stories you are going to summarize. But this time you have to listen because you will also have to summarize this story. Ibong Adarna. Once upon a time there was a kingdom named Berbenia. It was ruled by the king Fernando and Queen Valeriana, who had three sons. The firstborn was Don Pedro, Don Diego was the second, and Don Juan the youngest. One night, King Fernando had a bad dream. He saw his youngest prince and his favorite Don Juan was thrown away in a creepy deep well. The king started to get weak for some unknown reasons. It seemed that nothing could bring back his healthy condition. His medical advisors told him that the only cure to his unexplained is a lullaby sung by the Adarna bird or Ibong Adarna. So King Fernando tasked his three sons to hunt the magical bird. Don Pedro went first, but he wasn't successful. He may have reached Mount Tabor and the tree of Piedras Platas, where Adarna bird nested, but the prince fell asleep after hearing the bird's song. Worse turned into a stone when the lovely bird spoke on him. The second prince, Don Diego, went to hunt next. Unfortunately, he had the same better chance like his older brother. The kingdom was counting on Don Juan, so he went next. The youngest prince has climbed through Mount Tabor. He met a very old sick man who gave him a tips about the magical tree of Piedras Platas and catching the Adarna bird. Don Juan successfully caught the bird and helped his two brothers to be human again. But because of envy and greed of power, the two joined forces to beat Don Juan to death and threw him in a deep well. The two then returned home with Adarna. However, the king's illness went worse because the bird never sang a single song. Luckily, Don Juan's strength returned. He has been held by the poor old man he helped in the mountain. He came back to the kingdom of Berbenia. King Fernando has known the truth when the bird started singing after seeing Don Juan, the youngest prince. The king went well and stronger than ever. He wanted to punish his two sons, but Don Juan asked his father to just forgive them. The king granted his request and asked the two princes to guard the Adarna bird, the singing bird. Because of Don Pedro, the bird flew away and escaped. Don Juan went away from the kingdom so the king won't punish his brother. King Fernando asked the two princes to look for Don Juan. They found him in the kingdom of Armenia. They decided to live there. One day, they found an interesting well. Only Don Juan went down inside successfully. He found two lovely princesses. Doña Juana and Doña Leonora, captured by a giant serpent. Because of his skills in fighting, the mighty prince has killed the serpent, and saved again and again the two princesses. As you can see, he really loved his brothers, despite of what his brothers did to him, despite how many times uh, he intended to kill Don Juan. Instead, Don Juan still forgave his brothers. How much he loved his brothers. Don Pedro invade, invite or invade the young prince. He cut the rope. When the prince went down inside the well to get the ring Doña Leonora has forgotten. Anyway, it was easy for Don Diego to make Doña Juana to fall in love with him. So when they came back to Barbania, they married. On the other hand, Don Pedro did everything to pursue Doña Leonora, but he failed. An enchanted fox helped Don Juan and he was quickly held. The Adarna bird appeared suddenly and told him about the princess of Reino de los Cristales, his love destiny. Do you believe that there is a destiny? He immediately searched for the princess and found out about the cruel king Salermo. In spite of the obstacles the cruel king has given him, he faced them all and succeeded with the help of Maria Blanca, the daughter of King Salermo. You see the transitional story, right? The progress of the story, the plot of the story. Because of the selfish king, the two tried to escape. Maria Blanca was scared to be crawling like a snail and be forgotten by the Prince Don Juan. So, what will Don Juan must do? Don Juan has returned to Barbania, where he was welcomed by his mother, Queen Valeriana, and Princess Leonora. He has forgotten about Maria Blanca because of Princess Leonora. So he was being captured and captivated by the beauty of Princess Leonora. And Maria Blanca, the daughter of King Salermo, was already forgotten. So, Don Juan and Princess Leonora were scheduled to get married, to wed. At the day of the wedding, Maria Blanca visited wearing the Imperatriz. So, I mean, balat kayo. She tried to bring back all the memories and remind Don Juan about their love. Ganun talaga ang pag-ibig. Sometimes, it happened to be that. Love changes. Finally, Don Juan and Princess Maria Blanca, hindi pala. Dumating pala si Maria Blanca. Bumalik ulit. Maybe she has the power to to mag to to appear to Don Juan, that probably Don Juan can remember the memories of their past. Actually, she tried to bring back all the memories. So what happened to Maria Blanca? Sino ang kanya na pangasawa? Actually, Don Juan and Princess Maria Blanca got married, while Princess Leonora married Don Pedro, the first son or the first prince. In the end, Don Pedro became the new king of Barbania, because that is the power, the absolute power in a the nature of monarchical government, somewhat monarchical government, the eldest son will succeed the king, just like in Thailand or in England, in United Kingdom of Great Britain. The eldest son will succeed and will be proclaimed as the king, especially then if the king is not capable of leadership, especially if the king will die. The first son will take over the care of duties and responsibilities as a king. So, Don Pedro became the new king of Bourbania, while Don Juan became the king of Reino de los Cristales. Such a big kingdom. So, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you you understand the story of Ibong Adarna. I'll give some questions and the follow up to our group chat.